Today we're going to talk about the pros and cons of building versus buying a fridge slide for your off-road vehicle, as well as do a review on the Tembo Tusk front pole fridge slide that I have installed in the Tundra. Coming up.
A bad day. That's it.
Yeah! If you're anything like me and love doing some of that backyard engineering stuff, consider yourself quite a bit of a tinkerer. The nagging question always comes up with any addition or mod you're going to make to your project, whether to build or to buy. One of the most recent examples of that to me is whether I was going to build or buy the fridge slide for the new build here, and also what style of fridge slide I was going to go with. I've done both, and I'm hoping I can give you a little bit of an insight into which direction you should go coming up now. Real quick, just to explain what a fridge slide is and its purpose. A fridge slide is basically a mechanism that, in conjunction with multiple different styles of Overland fridges and freezers, gives you the ability to tuck away your fridge and freezer, but easily roll it out and access your food and drink when you need to. There's a ton of different makes and models out there, a whole bunch of different styles of mechanism. Whether you go really simple, like this type of unit, where it's sliding the fridge out and in and it's staying on the same plane, or there's even units that slide out and tilt forward, like the one I built in my old truck, as well as units that will slide out and let your fridge pivot down on gas struts, or maybe just using your own strength to make that happen, lowering your fridge down to a level where it makes it easy to access the stuff in your fridge. Thinking about whether it's right for you to build something is an interesting topic. I love the DIY. It's super interesting and super exciting to see something you built with your own two hands in action and in use out in the field. The way I see it, I love building things when I have the tools, the talent, and the time to do so effectively. Taking on any sort of DIY project is going to require you to have a certain assortment of tools, and that might be something as simple as a drill or drill bits and angle grinders, or it might be a little bit more cost prohibitive, like welders and sheet metal brakes. It really depends on the project, but you might take this as an opportunity to really invest in the tools that you're going to use for the long haul, even though it might be a little bit more upfront initial cost. I love DIY builds for that purpose, going out, buying new tools that are really going to outfit your shop properly for projects to come. Second would be the talent. Honestly, there's a ton of resources for any DIY build that you want to do, whether it's a write-up online on someone's blog or a channel on YouTube that you can find to really give you some good step-by-step tutorials on how to do almost anything. I mean, I use YouTube all the time to learn new skills, and I honestly think it's a really important thing to get out there and take on new challenges and expand your skills and just learn new things so that you can be kind of a Renaissance man or a Renaissance woman and just build your confidence and know that you're capable and that you have it in you to take on some of those things. The third thing, and probably the most nagging of all, is time. Honestly, I love taking on new projects, but life is busy. You got a full-time job, you got family and friends that you want to be able to give your time to, and honestly, sometimes you just want to get out there and use your vehicle for what it's intended, rather than just spend all weekend and all month and all year building. One last thing to talk about with the DIY route: if you are not a seasoned veteran in whatever you're experimenting with making yourself, more often than not, it ends up costing the same or even more when you're talking about mistakes that can be made and the time associated with building it. I will link a video to the bed build I did on my 1987 Toyota pickup up here somewhere. I'll link some components I used for that build down in the description section of this video. I used Or heavy duty locking fridge slides, along with some ball bearings that I sandwiched in the extruded aluminum of the material I did where the fridge was going to sit in, and I made it so that it tilted forward and then locked back. It was a really fun build to do, and it was pretty cool, and I learned a lot doing it. As you can see to my right over here, and the fact that this fridge slide has a nameplate on it, Tembo Tusk Extreme Duty, I chose to buy the fridge slide for this build. There's a lot of pros to buying something straight off the shelf if it's available for the application that you have. I went with a pretty large 90-liter National Luna fridge freezer. Looking around online for the months I was planning this build, it just seemed that Tembo Tusk was going to give me a super simple but rugged and heavy-duty fridge slide for this beast of a fridge. They use an industry standard heavy-duty locking slide for this made by AccuRide. Another thing that really sold me on the Tembo Tusk fridge slide is the low profile you get between the base plate and the mounting plate of your fridge. I think it's 1 inch from where the bolt bolts through to the base plate here to where this is. And this just let me better optimize and utilize the height I had between my base plate and the opening of the habitat so that I could fit fit the ARB and the front runner soft packs I used in this system to store all my gear. I had some really tight height tolerances in this to be able to access all my gear out of these soft totes, and finding something that wasn't super tall between the base plate and where the fridge mounts was super important to me. The Tembo Tusk fridge slide comes in, I think, 3 different sizes and 2 different configurations. It can either be a front pull model like this one where the fridge slide slides out sideways, or it can be a side pull version where your fridge is actually mounted the other way. It'd be a wider model and your fridge will just pull straight out towards you. Cool that they have so many options. It's honestly really well powder coated. This thing has actually chipped a tiny bit of paint away here, but man, I threw this thing around my garage for months, not only before building it, but while building this system out, just hucking it in and pulling it out and dragging it across the concrete. I tried to be as careful as I could, but it definitely took some abuse, and it seems like the powder coat is actually holding up really well. They did a good job on that. I did want to note that Tembo Tusk does have a cantilever option as well, and you'd use that in a situation where you had maybe a pull-out drawer underneath your fridge and your fridge was actually mounted up too high to access stuff in it, so that it has to first slide out and then pivot down. I thought about a system, putting some drawers underneath here and using a drop-down slide, but in the end, I decided to go with the tote-based system and keep my fridge position down low where I could reach it, giving it a lower center of gravity and just keeping it a lot simpler overall. Another thing, buying versus building, you know, there's accessory components and that kind of stuff that are going to be unique to the manufacturer of whatever fridge slide you might be looking at. They have an optional slide-out cutting board that you can add to their front pull models. They have some pretty cool tie-down straps, which that's not what these are. Theirs, I think, are called Buffalo tie-down straps. Now, one thing that's kind of cool that Tembo Tusk does have that I haven't seen on the market anywhere else is a base plate system where if you had a couple different vehicles that you wanted to move your fridge and drawer slide around to, you can permanently mount that base plate system in a couple different rigs. And then from what I gather, it just takes 4 bolts that you could quickly put in and take out to swap this between your vehicles. In the end, between the options of building and buying a fridge slide, I think from here on out, I'm probably going to opt to buy. I definitely don't regret taking the time and building the one I built in my old truck. I learned some really cool skills with it, but at the end of the day, with a vehicle that doesn't have a whole lot of aftermarket support causing me to kind of one-off fabricate a whole bunch of different solutions for things I want to do to it, sometimes it's nice to have something that's going to be ready right out of the box, turnkey, ready to go to get you out of the garage and out onto the trail a little faster. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found something useful out of it and it points you in the direction you're going to go for your fridge slide needs. If you did like this video, please consider hitting the like button down below and hit that subscribe button to be notified when I put out a new video every week. I'll throw links in the description section below to any of the things I talked about in the video. Definitely, if you have any questions or any input, just throw a comment in the comments section below. I love interacting with you guys and kind of starting to build out this community. If you want to follow more about Evergreen Overland, you can find me over on Instagram at Evergreen Overland, as well as evergreenoverland.com.